Your thoughts?
I know exactly what he's trying to do. He comes off his line. He's going to play the ball upfield with his left foot. The lane he thought was open closes, and he second guesses himself and gets his pocket picked. Tim Ream can't bail him out. He attacks the ball with the outside of his left boot. It goes in on a very weak shot. Both plays could have been preventable. They were not. Now you're down 3-1. And Case mentioned the crowd.
Yeah.
It was vital to take advantage of those momentum swings. You just equalized the game off a free kick, deflected, went in against a quality goalkeeper like Thibaut Courtois. Take advantage. Settle yourself down. You're back in this game. And then 2 minutes later, Trossard down the left-hand side to Ketelaere off a header. Again, easily preventable. Put out the fire before the cross is out. Do not get bodied by a false nine, a player who's not even a nine. And it doesn't happen. There are moments that emotionally do you in this match. And for Matt Fries, this isn't the first moment. The first time we recalled an error was exactly like this versus Haiti in Gold Cup, a minor tournament. Yet the same thing happened. Played it right to the Haiti player, right back down their throat. I do not know how preventable it was or how much more Mauricio Pochettino could have gotten him prepared. But in the worst possible moment, he had his moment.
Yeah.
And that's going to do you in.
All right, well, now I suppose after this, Jurgen, we can start to have a bit of a post-mortem and start to judge Mauricio Pochettino's tenure so far with the U.S. men's national team. Looking at bigger picture now, how would you rate what he has done with this U.S. men's national team?
Before we hear the analysts' take on Pochettino, I want to highlight an important point. I believe it is unfair to place the blame entirely on the manager. While he certainly bears some responsibility for today's defeat, let's be realistic. The current U.S. national team is good, but they are not yet equipped to compete for a spot in the World Cup semifinals. The squad depth simply isn't strong enough. If you compare them to Belgium, for instance, you'll find that Belgium possesses players of a much higher caliber. The U.S. national soccer team just doesn't have the same standing as their basketball counterpart, for example. The national setup requires comprehensive youth and talent development. American players need to make the move to Europe, even if it means starting at mid-table clubs initially. That is simply the way forward if we ever want to see the USA reach a World Cup semi-final one day.
Well, I think all fans and people on the outside, obviously they judge the results the most. And in a World Cup, obviously it's all black and white. It's down to knockout phase and knockout phase. How far can you go? How much can you challenge the big countries in the world? And unfortunately, we go out now in the round of 16 against a team that obviously is classy and is full of quality, but also is beatable in a certain moment. I think now when you summarize all the games the last 2 years and all the up and downs that the team experienced, then you can come to a conclusion and to give him a real judgment. It will be interesting to see now how he will talk about this game tonight, how he judges it, how he looks at his players, at his team, as the entire performance. As Hercules said rightfully, there was a sequence of mistakes all over the place. I mean, in the first half, the first 30 minutes, I've rarely seen so many passing mistakes in all areas on the field. And there was a nervousness that you can feel even in front of television. And now, that leads then into more mistakes. And then it doesn't matter if it's the goalkeeper or if it's other people, then you go down and you lose with a result 4-1 that hurts. I mean, it hurts. When you go out in a World Cup with that result, that sticks with you. It's not going away anymore. And unfortunately, for none of the players and not for the coaching staff. So now obviously there's no hurry to sit down with Mauricio and discuss it from a federation point of view and then come to a conclusion if they continue or not continue.
Yeah, 4-1 is quite a humbling scoreline, Casey. So do we look at it as that it was just a disappointing result, this happens, or does this now make everything that we've seen at the World Cup feel more like a failure?
No, I wouldn't go failure. I think the team did, fine. I mean, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. And I mean, I was kind of really hoping that the Turkey game was going to mean something. So, because I think that would have been a great little test to see where they were pushing forward. But no, I think it was a good tournament. It wasn't a great tournament. They needed to come up with one of those special results that they weren't able to today. I mean, Belgium looked like the Belgium we expected from day one, and that day one didn't happen. Maybe they just realized that 2-0 down against Senegal, and they just rode that momentum of coming back. I think they made some great decisions in taking some of the older players out and putting fresh legs in, but not only that, they passed like we expect Belgium to pass. The 1-2 touch combos in midfield, the wide play, they really put the U.S. on their heels from the very first minute. And the U.S. just couldn't respond. Like Jurgen said, they needed to be cleaner. They needed to be better, and they weren't. And they got humbled tonight.
They got humbled indeed. When Mauricio Pochettino came in, JJ, he wanted to establish a recognizable identity for this U.S. men's national team. He wanted to change the culture. He wanted individual players to improve to a certain level under him. Do you feel he's done all of that?
Ooh, tough. I don't. Let's go back. I think when I look at the group stage, right? If you look at the group stage with Paraguay, you have Australia, and you have Turkey. We had clearly in mind that Turkey will be the forerunner. They will be the number one. They had a bad one then. Then you go how we played against Paraguay. I think the Paraguay we saw after the game against the US was not the same that when the US played. You can say that was the favor for because US played that good, or you can say Paraguay played that bad. Same like I feel like is against Australia. So I think that you were able to see, because we can only look at the games what we played now in the tournament and say, yes, we played a better game, a better football than we played before the tournament, what I so far saw. But he played just with that first 11 in that tournament, with the best players together. Then I have to look at it and I go, the teams we should win was Paraguay, was Australia. Then we had Bosnia, we won. But then before that, Turkey, you lost. It's a team from Europe. Now you lose against a team of Europe again from Belgium. So that Belgium team was the big test to say we made a step forward. But we don't. That is the reality. So we have to go back. All the other stuff, we said good. But we said this is now, if we win Belgium, we can say we made a step forward. We don't. We lost 4-1. We talked about it. We saw the mistakes. We under pressure. I don't know. Is it maybe the pressure that we lost so many balls, that we were not able to compete with Belgium? Because is it maybe in the heads that we thought about it? We never won against them. How we should win today? So because yes, when you look at the team, we had a lot of possession, but at the end we lost 4-1 against a strong Belgium team. So if we ask now, was it good or bad? I would say, no, we had the same, because we don't win against Belgium. That was the big test.
Well, that was a big test, Herg. But of course, now we knew that U.S. Soccer and Mauricio Pochettino were going to wait until after the World Cup to discuss whether or not an extension was on the cards right now. Have you seen enough evidence from what Pochettino has done with this U.S. men's national team to extend him and potentially give him another entire cycle before the next World Cup?
We were supposed to wait. Reports have come out that they've already, spoke about an extension to him. I do not know why. You want to see the results. It's a results-based business. This is the highest-paid coach in the history of the U.S. men's national team, a coach they reset the market for, one of the highest-paid international managers who's gotten to the same place that every coach before him has gotten, except one, maybe two, if you count 1930. What are we doing here? You don't need a World Cup with a round of 16 exit to evaluate 20 months worth of work, 20 months worth of this coach and his people constantly flirting with other teams, whether it's Premier League or whether it's in Spain or whatever the case may be. I don't even know if Mauricio Pochettino wants to coach the international game. I'm sure he had a lot of fun at this World Cup, and he did a lot of good things with his team in this World Cup, but nothing any other coach before him hasn't done. And yeah, you can win 3 games. You can do that. That's fine. Bruce Arena went 1-1-1 and made it to a quarterfinal. Was a blown handball away from making it to the semifinal. Jurgen Klinsmann got out of group of death, a much more difficult scenario. So if you're going to judge him, don't judge him off this World Cup. Judge him off the totality of the 20 months and what you felt, what you saw. It took us 20 months to find a starting lineup. So listen, these players today were not good enough. And ultimately, that's Pochettino's job. I don't want to put all the blame on him today. I don't think he has all the blame. But Rudi Garcia made 3 adjustments and put him in a world of difficulty. That's the reality here.
What do you make of it? Extension, yay or nay?
Yeah, I think that's tough. I mean, because like I said, I mean, the whole idea was he was brought in to take the team to the next level, and he wasn't able to achieve that. And there was a lot of experimentation. What did we joke about, before the tournament started? The only thing consistent with Pochettino was his inconsistency. So we never really knew what we were going to expect. We were so pleasantly surprised in that first half against Paraguay, one of the best halves in American soccer history. But we also said that was unsustainable. So we were happy to see the pragmatic approach against Australia. You won the group, and then we didn't really get to see anything against Turkey because of all the changes and that it became a friendly. And then we saw another pragmatic approach against Bosnia, which was fantastic. You got the win in that knockout stage. But we need to see something special today against what wasn't considered the best Belgian team in the last 12 years, that it was a beatable Belgian side. Rudi made some important changes. Belgium responded, and they were the better team from start to finish. The U.S. just could not come up with the performance they needed against a side. And look, if we're going to objectively look at the U.S. team, can we say this U.S. team is one of the best 8 teams left in the world? And on today's performance, we have to say no. They weren't able to take it to that next level. Mauricio wasn't, and the players weren't. And now U.S. Soccer has to make a decision on, is this the right guy going forward and be able to do that 4 years? Pochettino has to make that decision. Is he the right guy? Is this the right environment that he needs to move forward? So a lot of questions to be had by U.S. Soccer.
One final point. There needs to be a clear strategic plan for American soccer. Simply put, a haphazard approach to football planning inevitably leads to haphazard results. If we want the US national team to go deep in the World Cup, there must be a systematic plan implemented over a specific time frame. Take the German, Spanish, or French models, for instance. These are all highly successful blueprints, where the payoff became evident only after years of meticulous planning and hard work. In stark contrast, look at a team like Brazil. They have always been a historically great footballing nation, but they aren't managed through structured, long-term planning. And the result? For the last 25 years, Brazil hasn't just failed to win the World Cup. They've been largely absent from the semi-finals as well. That's just my take, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to check out the other videos appearing on your screen right now.